Well, nothing good happens in November, does it?
I don't know. It's like the end of the year.
It's not, Christmas isn't here yet. Halloween's been all the fun stuff.
I mean, for some people, I guess the Melbourne Cup, people like the Melbourne Cup Carnival.
I mean, sure, my wife's birthday's in November. I guess that's good for her. But for the general public, nothing good happens in November until now.
What? What's going on? What are we doing?
TOFOP, us, you and me, we're returning to the live stage for the first time in 6 years. That's right, we are doing shows in Melbourne and Sydney. Melbourne at the Basement Comedy Club, November 11th. Sydney at the Comedy Store, November 25th. Exciting stuff.
These are our first shows in 6 years. 6 years since we last did a live show. Sydney Opera House dropped those microphones, pledged that we would never come back. Entertainment demanded that we would never come back. But in your face, entertainment industry, we're back, baby.
We are back live on stage, Will and Charlie, doing what we do, which we don't know what that is yet, but we'll work it out by the time we get to the stage.
Charlie's been working on it for 6 years, he promises me. It's going to be amazing.
So November 11th, Basement Comedy Club in Melbourne. November 25th, the Comedy Store in Sydney. Go to our link tree on our socials or go to tofop.com to get your tickets.
See you there.
A listener production.
The creators of this podcast would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which it is recorded. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are the first storytellers of this land. We pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, as well as any Indigenous people who may be listening today.
Everyone relax. This is... what?
Sorry. I was doing I know we're about to start. I mean, we have started technically, but you know how I told you. So we're on a program called Riverside. We'll start the show in a second, but here we go. We're on a program called Riverside. We record it. You're in a different place today, but also added complication. Little Will Anderson has advanced to being able to host his own podcast without actually Mike the Third logging me into the Riverside. He ran me through it in a series of instructions.
I'm very proud of you, Will.
Like the series of I honestly want Mike to explain everything to me, because the way that he explained how to do it was so for dummies detailed, but then he put little photos of himself with different expressions on the side that was very encouraging. Really got me through the process. I honestly might just make him an offer to bring him on full time to just do that for every area of my life. If he could just work out how to do things.
You've got a...
Could you work out how to get...
massive tax
bill. Could you work out how to get my Paramount Plus on my fucking regular TV? Could you just run me through that with a series of lovely photos? So anyway, when I logged on today, you're hosting this. But unusually, there was a little thing down the bottom where you would press record on my screen, which is what I would do to record an interview if I'm hosting. And because this was the first time we'd encountered that, I was puzzled and worried that maybe I have to do something extra. Maybe this is a different thing. Mike didn't put it in his sheet. What's going on?
Bastard.
And so I explained this to you. And then when you pushed record, it started recording at my end. And that was my little excitement giggle and then thumbs up that I gave you that really put you off,
threw me off.
Just as you're about to start the podcast. So 3, 2, 1.
Everyone relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson. Hello.
In over 430-something episodes, you've never given me a thumbs up just before I've recorded. I appreciate it. I liked it. I'm like, this is nice. We're like co-pilots in Top Gun. You just give me the thumbs up to say, you can release the MiG. We're ready to go. Do.
From now on, I am going to give you, if I remember, I'm going to give you a little thumbs up at the start of the podcast, but I am going to do it military style. I'm not just going to give you a little lazy
give me
thumbs
two
up
beforehand. So let me for the camera. So it's got to be something like that. That. Because that means three things. It's like engines checked, engaged.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Go.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Camera ready. Back up running. Go.
And more reason for people to join our Patreon so they can too be excited and fired up by our new military hand signals to start the show. Will, we left last week's TOFOP with an open-ended question about Michael Flatley. For those of you, if this is your first episode of TOFOP, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Welcome. Look, if it's your first one, welcome in. If you weren't put off by whatever just happened then.
We don't start every episode like that.
I would recommend you go back one episode, because we are going to hopefully find some like closure or continuation. I know nothing. This is Pavlov's Michael Flatley box as far as I'm concerned, because we are recording this episode late in the week, Sunday morning, very late for us, but we wanted to give maximum time for us to receive correspondence on an issue that came up on last week's episode. Have we received any correspondence, Charlie?
Zero correspondence, Will. To the point
really?
Where I was like, this is insane. Like, surely it's not just me, you, and Michael Chamberlain. And so I ran a poll on our TOFOP Instagram page. Had you heard of the Michael Flatley rumor before we mentioned it on the episode? 56% said no, they had never heard the rumor before. 44% said yes, so that's not zero, but majority no.
It's not. Yeah, but it's not even that. If it was 90-10, you might have thought that the 10% of again, as Levin said to us on our bonus episode about 5 that is now up on the feed, that he used to listen to me on the radio. So there is the slight possibility that this is just a closed circle. And even that 44%, they're being, push-polled by the fact that at some stage we have referenced it, joked about it. It feels like the sort of thing that you and I might have at some stage gone, we have to have sex 5 minutes after stage like Michael Flatley, but never stopped down and gone into that rumor, where it came from, why we know about it. So, I'm not even sure about the 44%. Because have they only heard it from having us reference it at some point?
I'm sure that we would have, in 400-something episodes, we would have mentioned it at least once, because it is one of those things that I just accepted was like a hilarious bit of
Well, you and I do, and Michael Chamberlain.
So I mentioned last week that I was like, I think I heard Tony Martin mention it, so I reached out to Tony Martin. Maybe. I sent him a little message and I said, hey, Tone, sorry for the random message. Just need to get the bottom of something. On TOFOP, we've been talking about that Michael Flatley rumor about him having to have sex within 10 minutes of coming off stage. Will and I both knew about it and assumed that it was like the Richard Gere gerbil story, i.e. everyone knew about it. However, we could not find anything about it online, and when I did a poll, most people hadn't heard of it. My earliest memory of it is hearing you talk about it, perhaps on Martin Malloy. So my question is, did you come up with it? And if not, where did you hear about it? So Tone wrote back, hi, Charlie, I really can't recall, but it's not something that we would have just made up, so it must have come from somewhere, and we wouldn't have dared have claimed it on radio if it hadn't been reported somewhere, because stuff like that was in the news. Stuff like that would have to have been in the news otherwise, obviously being on radio, they could get sued. Yeah. So it must...
Well, but also that was kind of what their show was. If it wasn't the sketch stuff that had nothing to do with the news, it was a daily radio show. So often it was just about whatever was in the news cycle. So yes, I assume also that if I heard it on Martin Malloy, my assumption would have been that all of the things that they talked about on Martin Malloy, they were referencing... Michael Flatley was on 60 Minutes the other night, and this was the bit that we found it unusual. That's what you'd imagine it was. Yeah,
right? I wouldn't think that they would have just made it up, but I thought maybe it was a sketch that they'd done. Martin Malloy came out in the 90s, Michael Flatley was at his peak in the 90s. Maybe they did a sketch where it's because
Mick did a thing called River Pants,
something.
And it's like a Mick Malloy style, smoking,
drinking,
Australian version who has to have sex 5 minutes after he gets off stage,
something like that. So what Tony has suggested, because he said he goes on. I won't go into the whole message he sent me, but he said there's a bunch of those kind of stories about celebrities that he remembers from the 90s being in the papers. He references there was a story about Nicholas Eady and about Bruce Gingell and all these things that were verified and reported in papers, but he said there is no evidence of it now, and he thinks it's an issue of when digitization came in. So if the rumor is in the 90s, it somehow did not get converted to the internet. Because I said to him, Flatley's worth 300 million. Do you think it's a case of he scrubbed the internet? And he said it's a possibility, but he thinks it's just more. There was just, if you were lucky enough.
A period of time. What a great time.
If you were a celebrity. Yeah, it was something.
The last anonymous celebrity scandals.
But how did the Richard Gere thing survived? Maybe because that wove its way into pop culture. Like they reference that in mainstream movies now, like Scream and stuff like that. So maybe there's certain rumors where if it's like a niche rumor, like a TOFOP level rumor, like it stays in the darkness. But if it's huge, then what's another kind of, or maybe.
Well, I was about to argue that this was really huge, but at the same time, we've done like 500 episodes of our shows, and it's only really come up for the first time in a deep dive this far in. But I just remember it being so fundamentally one of those things that everybody knew. That it's blown my mind for the last week and a half. I've had to stop just randomly asking people in the street, do you remember the Michael Flatley rumor?
Shaking them.
Just like, dear God, did I just hear you an Irish accent? I'm down at the Backpackers just going from room to room going, who's heard of this?
Well, the other thing, I guess, is maybe it's just not really that big. It's not so crazy a factoid that has it endured. Like the gerbil thing is.
But it's sticky. Like it's not as sordid as the gerbil, right? That the gerbil I think crosses a line that like the idea that rock stars performers often will have
sexcapade.
And also post-performance ritual, whether it's like getting drunk or doing drugs or like whatever. We already buy into the idea they have a post-show ritual. It could be a cup of tea ritual? Or a go home as quickly as possible.
Avoid eye contact with anyone and go home.
Leave venue out and back. Be in Uber before venue is cleared.
You're the opposite of Michael Flatley. He just needs human physical contact. You want the opposite.
I've had enough by that point, right? But we're kind of used to the idea, even in professional sports, that a sports person might immediately after the game, they might sing the song, see their family, get in an ice bath.
Go to Disneyland.
We understand the idea of post-performance ritual or celebration, right? We've seen teams win championships and celebrate. So we kind of get this world, and 5 minutes after going on stage or 10 minutes after going on stage seems to be an extreme version of that, but it's within the world that we already understand, right? It wouldn't be the weirdest thing you've heard of. The gerbil, I do think, is in a different category. Like it involves animals for a start. Like there's issues of consent, because no one was accusing Michael Flatley of just grabbing the stagehand and going at it. Like the rumor was that this was a consensual.
He had a partner or someone waiting for him in his dressing room with unless the way I imagined it was there was literally someone side of stage with the floor manager, standing next to the guy with the headset or the girl with the headset was his sexual partner, just waiting. Like he literally had, as soon as he got past the curtain, the pants were down and he was in.
Well, I mean, could it be one of those things, because you hear about it with rock shows all the time, the idea that the bodyguards or the security guards will, while the concert was going on, would be sort of out
handing
there,
out triple A's,
kind of, who wants to come backstage after the show sort of situation. So was there an implication? How do you, when you remember it, what did you imagine? Do you imagine it was like a regular member of either a partner or a member of staff employed for the specific purpose of that? Or did you kind of imagine that it was a series of, middle-aged, horny, girls out for a night out who'd love nothing more than spending the night with or at least, a post-show celebration with the Lord of the Dance?
I just imagined it was like a Caligula type situation where you got a bunch of fit dancers.
I'm fucking who's in.
Exactly. Because he's shirtless as the Lord of the Dance and he's got that headband on, so he's all sweaty and slimy. So in my imagination, he steps behind the curtain rips the headband off. Oh, my hat just flew off.
Yeah, I know. I'm really into this. This is definitely worth the video today. This is a real.
Imagine if I just revealed I was like Tim Pool. I was bald and my cat this whole time.
No, it turns out we're going out live for some reason. I pushed the wrong button. I didn't follow one instruction on Mike's thing, and he goes, "Oh, but don't do this, or you'll go out live and reveal that Charlie is bald."
No, I just imagined he would grab like the dancer that was closest to him or something like that. But it was
like in a sexy
orgy, pre-orgy kind of way.
Yes. Well, you've been out there flirting on the dance floor, and then you just can't take your hands off each other. You get off stage, you're up against the wall, you're just like, fuck.
Well,
but they're playing lots of different theatres, so I think that would be like. I mean, I've played a lot of theatres, and they're very like backstage where all the mechanics are and the moving parts. Like that's
they rope it off, and you've got to be careful where you stand. Areas are taped off.
Yeah, they would not randomly let you just like fuck everywhere, right? They'd have to put down a mat or like
and every floor manager I've ever worked with or stage manager has been like militant about like, are you meant to be here? You can't stand here. You need to be back there. Like you're not standing side of stage unless you're about to just go on.
Some theatres that they don't like you to have like drinks and stuff backstage. Like they're not going to let you just like lube up and fuck each other.
If you're the Lord of the Dance, though.
Yeah, of the dance. He's not Lord of the theatre. Doesn't work around here, mate. That's what the stage managers say. You might be the Lord of the Dance, but I'm the Lord of this particular venue, and you're playing by my rules today, Lord of the Dance.
Yeah, so I mean, it is disappointing that that's where it's finished because I felt like.
Well, it hasn't finished. It's to be continued. We just don't know at this point, right? Well, it's still there. I still want to know from people. I'm now just looking for anyone who thinks that they have heard this rumor independently of us.
Well, what would be
like if you think you have a memory or a moment or something?
We need an insider. What we need is actually someone who perhaps toured with the Lords of the Dance or the Lord of the Dance or the River Dance gang or whatever it is.
See if they've ever heard of it.
Because that's like someone who has no fear of reprisal, or whatever. But they were like, hey, man, I worked on Riverdance when they came to Australia and I saw X. Like, here's a little tidbit that I'll tell you. It's been a couple opportunities where I've been asked to go on Dancing with the Stars. And a couple of times I have spoken to friends of mine who have gone on Dancing with the Stars. And the overwhelming feedback I get from that is, look,
do you want your marriage to
exactly.
end?
Is it safe?
Would you like to are you sick of your family? Would you like a new family?
You'll have fun, but be prepared that you're going to be, with a dance partner rehearsing all the time, getting hot and sweaty. Some of the dancers are very physical, body to body, and it like even one guy was saying, look, he's very happily married, but he's gone, it is a bit of a head fuck that you are like doing this rehearsal where
it's intimate. It's very so intimate and sweaty and physical.
And then you add on to that.
Regardless of, and probably more intimate and sweaty, honestly, than anyone is reasonably with their partner. Because I mean, like, this is 8 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like that's too much even for the happiest and holiest.
Not the sex mad Lord of the Dance, Will. I think you underestimate the sex mad Lord of the Dance. But yeah, that was the feedback given to me was like, it's not. It's an incredibly tempting and confusing situation. So I would imagine that
even if there is no like genuine, like even if there is no, innocent. I mean, even if it's completely innocent and you're in the happiest of relationships, there is an intimacy to it that I imagine would just be difficult to deal with emotionally. It's just like doing a very different, intense emotional thing constantly that you don't ordinarily do. Like in any situation, being held hostage, like and tortured for 8 hours a day would also have like they're just weird things that you don't normally get up to in your day to day.
Yeah. And so if you add on to that, when you are in a touring, like if you do any kind of like stage performance and you're in a touring group, it's a very bonding experience, whether it's like a film shoot or a stage show or whatever. So all of those elements combined, the very physical, sexy nature of dance combined with the bonding experience of being with a troupe that is traveling around the world, I could imagine there was a lot of hooking up going on easily.
Of course there would have been hooking up with the dancers and the touring cast. Of course.
So if you are then the
camp,
lord
right?
of those dancers, like a self-appointed lord of those dancers, like I imagine there is a feudal system going on in that rank, right? You know?
Yeah, for people to serve it's a cult. You'd imagine that the lord of the dance is like the leader of the cult, right? Doesn't mean that he's doing all the day-to-day. Normally someone else in charge of that. But he's like this, he's the figurehead of the organization. And no one else is challenging for Lord of the Dance. I mean, that would have made it more interesting if mid-show someone else could come out and challenge to be challenge. The Duke of the Dance rocks up and challenges the Lord of the Dance to a dancing duel. Yeah. I mean, come on, is this not the best TV show of all time? To find out who truly is the Lord of the Dance. Like, it's like Street Fighter, but this could be a
series.
Real bad but good Hollywood movie. Okay, right. Well, or a documentary, like a reality show. But what about a movie, Street Fighter style, where like all the Lords of the Dance have
like Highlander.
Battle off.
From all corners of the globe.
They're recruited. Only one. Every sort of, like, there's a hip hop dancer and there's like a ballet dancer. That's right. And they all come together to see who is the true Lord of the Dance.
And I think that's the dancing is one component, but it's also the sexual prowess. And like you could have one guy be, look, I love dancing, but I just can't keep up with all the sex. Like within 10 minutes of coming off stage, I'm exhausted. I don't have the energy to make love.
I mean, we don't also know how long this hypothetical lovemaking that Michael Flatley was doing went for, right? Because maybe the 2-hour river dance had sort of been the equivalent of that's the orgy, and then you go off stage and just finish. Finish. Like
right? Over the course of the 2-hour show, you see his erection just getting larger and larger to the point where he's ready to go.
Just the stage manager's there with a mop and a bucket, all right, Michael.
I mean, I don't want to dovetail into the other thing I wanted to talk about today, but it really is the perfect segue because we had some friends over for dinner on Wednesday night, and one of my mates was telling me that he had this conversation with his father right before his father passed away. His father revealed something to him that hadn't revealed to any of his other children. And my friend was like, I still don't know if it was true or not, if he was having a len, but like he wasn't estranged from his father, but he's a grown man and his father was a grown man, and so they hadn't been living close lives for the last like 20 or 30 years of his life. But his father had told him that like 5 years prior, he had gotten an erectile implant, which is this, I guess it's like a inflatable tube in the penis that you inflate with a button that is positioned in the scrotum. So you just like press a button and like a camping mattress, it just inflates. And so he said his father died not long after that revelation, like a few months, he had cancer. And he has never told his...
Why did his dad...
I think...
Okay, here's my question. Firstly, why did his dad tell him? Was it in context of, I'm getting cremated, like there's going to be this, weird bit in the box, or I
think it was in relation because my friend...
A bonding moment?
My friend is in his late 50s now, and so I think it was more about he'd just gone through a divorce.
How's your dick, Dave?
Pretty much.
Dad was like, how's your dick going, mate?
I think he was...
I got to tell you about a marvelous contraption.
I think they were having a discussion about he was lonely. He was looking to start dating again. His kids were sort of grown up.
All right.
And his dad was like, well, here's a little tip. If you are going to get back into the dating scene, here's a little tip that your dad's going to give you. And it's only cost you 30 grand, apparently. So he was telling us this at dinner, and his new partner was there. Was like, she's gone, I just don't know. It sounds like a very specific and, I don't know if it's true, because why didn't he tell like your other kids? Why did he tell you? Like, is that kind of advice so necessary? And so we had this discussion around it, and I was like, well, let's just look up, the tech that your father described, the implant, and see if it exists, because, there's very detailed about the tube that goes in the penis and the button.
Oh, yeah, right. That's actually very smart. Like, firstly, see if the tech... assumed from you telling me that this exists, even though I'd never heard of this really. I was like, okay, I guess that's the thing they can do. I wasn't even surprised. Whereas you've just gone, let's even find out if this is a real technology in the first place.
The funny thing was, it was a dinner party of sorts. We had like 7 people around, and so when this was injected, there's certain moments in my life where I'm like, this is a perfectly fine, normal situation that anyone could find themselves in. And then the conversation takes a turn where I'm like, this is TOFOP. Like this is, I just need Will here in a Wikipedia page because I'm going to get a good hour out of this. So when his wife was like, oh, I wonder if the technology is, I'm like, you're talking to the right guy. Let me just open my phone.
You've come to an expert. Here we go.
Do you know that?
I was born for this,
you know
baby.
what was funny is earlier in the dinner party, I had brought up the Michael Flatley thing to a resounding silence, just blank stares, and then
never heard of it.
And the thing is, you know what I'm like. Will I get enthusiastic about things, especially when I'm into it? And so I was enthusiastically telling them about where we'd arrived with the Michael Flatley thing, and I said, "Have you guys ever heard of it?" And again, like blank stares. And then I was like, "It's like the Richard Gere gerbil thing." Yeah. And they hadn't even heard of the Richard Gere gerbil thing.
Okay, well then I don't trust them. I don't know who these people are or what they're talking about in their lives, but I don't like it.
But suddenly I become like, and this happens to me a lot, where it's like, how do you have all this information about these bizarre like sexual practices? Like, what kind of where are you spending your days?
I mean. Yeah. Well, this is where you're spending your days.
Well, there's 430-something episodes, 70-something episodes you can listen to.
At my job, which is to know things like this and discuss them and try to work out why.
So I found this website for men's erectile dysfunction in Australia called hardfacts.com.au. Yep. So it's got a bunch of data about, like, it's very common, the age that generally happens, and there is a bunch of treatments, including these implants. Now, I did sort of ruin the dinner party at one stage because there's an animatic about how it works. So it's like a very, very anatomically correct animation that shows you exactly how. And so I kept playing it on loop, showing everyone, look, there's a button in the scrotum and stuff. And you just see this like animated penis rise and fall.
Now, does the button just trigger automatically, or do you actually literally touch the button?
No, you touch it. You have to kind of.
So you switch it on.
Yeah, so I don't actually know.
And do you have to tap off as well? They'll tap on and tap off, or I guess so at the end, right? Or let's find out.
Okay, so this is the first thing I actually wanted to ask you, because this is the thing that really blew my mind. So there's a little quiz they want you to do before you sort of work out what kind of treatment you need, which is the hardness scale. How hard is hard enough? So they grade erections down to 4 levels, and they give similes of inanimate objects. So I want you to try and guess what the 4 stages are by giving me a comparative object. I'll make it easier for you. They're all foodstuffs.
Okay. They're all foods.
Yeah.
They're of various hardness.
Yeah. Okay.
And are they penis shaped?
3 of the 4.
Okay.
Okay. So grade 1 is when the penis is larger but not hard.
Larger but not hard, and it's a foodstuff. A sausage?
Think of the softest thing you can think of.
The softest thing, cream? Pillows, marshmallows.
Marshmallow.
A marshmallow.
It's a marshmallow. Yeah. Okay. Grade 2, it's hard, but not hard enough for penetration.
Yeah.
What food?
An unpeeled banana.
Close.
So I said sausage before, but you're not.
No, you're very close with your guess. Just think of the language.
With banana. Banana.
Yeah, but you used a specific qualifier for your banana.
A ripe banana.
No. There's something about
overripe banana.
Something to do with how the banana is presented. You said it was a
banana.
Banana.
Well, I said I said unpeeled banana. No, what did I say? Peeled banana. A peeled
banana. No, that's right. No, you said unpeeled. So grade 2
sorry. Yes.
is a peeled banana.
I meant when I said unpeeled the first time, I misspoke.
Right. Let the record show.
What I was imagining, I was like with the peel on, you could penetrate something with the peel on, but I was thinking, peeled.
Okay. Grade 3, hard enough for penetration, but not completely hard.
Okay. A week-old carrot.
That is weird, isn't it? How week-old carrots get so flaccid. Like, what is going on there? How do they lose their structural integrity like that?
I guess maybe is it water or something? Water.
How soft, and we'll just take a little diversion here, but how soft will you let that banana get before you're like, I'm not eating it? Like, is it just any bend?
The carrot, you mean?
The carrot.
I mean, if I was cooking it, I can cook a bendy carrot, not too.
You're not going to have a raw bendy,
but slightly bendy. As they're about to bend, I mostly eat raw carrot. I don't cook carrots a lot, but I eat a lot of raw carrot, and so I'm not eating bendy carrot raw.
Yeah, fair enough. Put your foot down there.
Yeah, that's where I draw my line, Charlie.
Okay, so grade 3, hard enough for penetration, but not completely hard.
Hard enough for penetration, and not completely hard. It's a food stuff still.
And I think you kind of like just follow the track, the line of thinking you're on.
Well, so we had a marshmallow, we had peeled banana. Again, is sausage one of these? I'm going to keep saying sausage until sausage.
No. I can let you know that sausage does not appear in any of these gradings.
Is it a unpeeled banana?
It's an unpeeled banana.
Oh, it is not.
Yeah,
really?
It's an unpeeled banana is grade 3. And then the final grade, which is when it is completely hard and fully rigid. What is the object? And I was surprised by this because of all the objects, the phallic-shaped objects.
It did. Yeah.
Oh, have you lost me my camera's just gone off.
Yeah, I can hear you, but your webcam's like.
I'm going to turn it back on. I think. Oh. Okay. So the 4th grade is completely hard and fully rigid, but I was quite surprised.
Not a food.
It is a food. But
it is a food also, but is it phallically shaped or not
phallically?
Yes, it is. And
I'll let you know that I ruined this dinner party by stopping down for about 20 minutes on this exact topic. Mm-hmm. And even though people,
because what was your main point of contention without giving away what it is? But
this to me, it does not match the description of grade 4, completely hard and fully rigid. I could name 3 other foods that I think would fit that description.
More hard and rigid than this one. A baguette.
Not a baguette.
Is it a vegetable?
It is a vegetable.
It's a vegetable. A zucchini?
A zucchini. Now,
is that what
it's a zucchini? Yeah.
Is that what it is? A zucchini. Oh.
Now, when it comes to hard and fully rigid, like I would compare the zucchini to the soft carrot that you were so dismissive of before.
Yeah, I agree. I think an unpeeled banana would take a zucchini in a sausage fight.
I mean, if you were sort of like, if you were like, doing a bit of pillow talk and you're like, hey, baby, like I'm as hard as a zucchini, I think your partner might be
like, how hard is that? I'm not even sure how hard that is because I kind of think about zucchini cooked a lot, which is soft and like kind of melted actually. So
I just it's like zucchini I put in like eggplant category, which is like spongy to the touch.
Well, this is one of my thoughts was eggplant because I thought, well, maybe that's the joke, right? Like the eggplant emoji, and therefore the eggplant itself. I would say zucchini and eggplant of similar sort of rigidity.
Yeah, rigidity, but not like I just feel like that if you're doing a grading system though, and this is the pinnacle, like I would say carrot. Like I feel like carrot was right there in front of us, or like what else would there be? Baguette, the two hardest objects known to man.
Pumpkin. I know it's not the right shape, but a pumpkin is very.
What about those? What are those pumpkins that are kind of longer shape? Are they still pumpkins or?
Oh yeah, butternut pumpkin. What about? I mean, it's got butter and nut in it. It's right there in front of you.
If you are on our Patreon watching the full video of this, you'll notice that the quality of my video has just degraded significantly. It's because my webcam's been a piece of shit and not working.
But you've swapped over, and for anyone who did watch the video, and this is incentive, I'd like you to know that as we were coming back on the new video stream with the new recording, I did our new military Top Gun signal to reassure Charlie that everything was going to be okay.
Which, what does it mean again? That means, what's the hand forward mean?
One was
good
ready to go, running it back up.
Roll. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to treatment for these things, there's a bunch of stuff. Like there's non-surgical, there's pills you can take, but the actual the insert, the implant, I guess you would call it. The question I have is, so it's obviously not a blood-related thing where it's like you get a rush of blood. So
that's what the pills and stuff are, right? It's more, because again, as joking we are on this subject, it's just a real thing that happens to people, and it happens to lots of people clearly. And so it shouldn't be anything that anyone's ashamed of, but the pills are blood related, that sending more blood or whatever. That's why people have red faces and get reactions that have to do with you can't take them if you're on certain blood medications or whatever the thing might be. So, but this is a pump it up.
Seems
this is
a lot of work. I think you've
a tent that puts itself up, or a self-inflating mattress.
Yeah, a camping mattress. And I think it's but clearly, so if you're not getting the blood rush, then you're obviously not, getting the, it wouldn't have the same sensation, the pleasure sensation that you would normally get from a blood fueled.
Well, no, but it might just be you're still getting the sensation, and you're still getting your regular sensation. It's just a bit of a hand. It's an assist. It's the wind beneath your wings. It's not like you wouldn't be able, if you're still into it and you'd still get all the sensations. You've just got a little, a little extra support, right?
I think they should do it with a remote. It should be a keyless remote for your car.
No, but then somebody else can have their hands on your remote, and that is what if somebody?
It's bad enough being a teenage boy in class when it feels like everyone's got a remote. Doesn't matter where you are. Someone's got a remote on the bus.
Somebody's trying to open the garage door and they've picked up the wrong buzzer, and your dick just goes up and down, and they don't understand why their garage door's not opening.
I had to fly down to Melbourne this weekend to watch the Saints play. I didn't have to. Sorry, that's a weird qualifier. I chose to fly down to Melbourne this weekend.
Yes.
I had one of those experiences at the airport where there was a big storm happening in Melbourne this weekend, and so they cancelled a bunch of flights. And so checked my luggage in, got to the lounge, got to the boarding gate, was lining up to go to the plane, and they cancelled the flight. So everyone had to leave the boarding gate, go back to the service desk and stuff. Even had to go back out to collect your luggage, to recheck it in to get the next flight. Don't you love in these situations at airports how some people take it personally? The fact is they've cancelled 3 flights by that point or whatever. And so there's 600-700 people, but there is a certain class of people who feel like what's happened to them is just personally affecting them and no one else.
It's one of because it is frustrating, because most people, if you're flying somewhere, you have a whole bunch of other plans, and often that might be work or family. There's normally a reason, right? It's rare that you're just popping on a plane and you've got nothing to do at the other end. Like you're going home or you're going to see your family or you're visiting someone, you're going on holidays, you're going to work. It is, yes, by the very nature of people needing to be transported as far as a plane is necessary to take you, most people have probably got some shit on, right? This is probably fucking everybody's plans on the plane. It's also why it's so annoying for everyone. And of course, it's like, like you can feel personally aggrieved by what is happening. But the idea that it is just happening to you rather than the idea that probably every single person on that plane has somewhere better to be than just hanging around at the airport, then yes, there are two types of people.
Well, it's also this thing too. There was this one guy in particular who, because when people start grizzling at a loudish volume, what they're kind of doing is trying to recruit. They're trying to sort of see, are there any like-minded people here?
Yeah.
If I grizzle,
I'd like to start a mob.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone in?
But there's this one guy behind me who was grizzling.
I reckon we can just get one of the planes if there's enough of us.
Yeah, he was traveling. He was traveling on his own, but he was grizzling kind of into the ether, hoping to kind of like gather some more people grizzling. And because we got to the service desk and at the lounge, and they said, look, if you've checked luggage in, you're going to have to go back out, get your luggage and baggage carousel and go check in. And this guy was furious about it. And he was like, well, can't you just move my bag over? And they said, no, we can't because it's, there's certain regulations about who's handling your luggage and we can't send one of our people out to handle your luggage because if something happens, blah, blah, blah. And so, this guy was like, well, I will pay someone. I'll pay an extra $100 to have one of your guys move my bags from one and take it through security. And it's the second time in like 2 months of like going to airports that I've seen someone, because of a delay getting through security, who's just like, let's just throw out all the protocols. Let's just get rid of all the safety procedures.
Well, I think post-COVID, people COVID's still happening, and there's new ones, by the way. New variants out now.
I know. There's a new feature on your iPhone. Have you seen that about COVID notifications?
No. Really?
There's a brand new, I just got a message from Apple saying, hey, do you want to install this app that tells you when there's been a COVID outbreak near you?
Oh, good times.
That's a good sign.
Good times that that's now just part of the update in the software. I saw that it was a virus update. I didn't realize that was the particular virus they were talking about. But this idea of it was a little, even the fact that we all got locked down and then people broke rules and there wasn't really any consequences for anyone's bad actions has given everybody the sense that everything has some wiggle room now. Like the old laws don't necessarily apply. Like for ages we had to do really annoying things like believe science and listen to officials and think they were acting in our best interests as a general principle. And now people think there's a little wiggle room in everything.
Well, I guess it's also this disinformation age we live in now, like the social media.
That's what that guy should have done, declared himself a sovereign citizen and taken control of the plane. That's what he should.
Is there any way we reel this back in? Like, is there any way, is the genie out of the bottle? Because there is so much conflicting information and data out there. And if you want some confirmation bias, you can find it wherever you go. Like, is there a way, can we reel it back in? Can we sort of go back to kind of just like a few news sources that are trusted and vetted?
I mean, I think that there's a world in which every reaction can have the opposite reaction. I do think that there is, and there already is like some sense of people going, there's too much everything everywhere. I need some central thing again that I can sort of trust and that we can all, it was even like with the television and entertainment going everywhere rather than the old networks and the old channels. That's that real sense of that loss of communal conversation. None of us are watching the same shows anymore, and none of us are like part of like that fun of, having like something in common at the same time with other people. And so I do think there's a longing to recreate some of that. But disinformation, like there's so much incentive for bad actors to spread disinformation. And we are about to enter into an age where it is going to be completely indiscernible from information, because AI and the ability to deep fake what people are saying and doing in news articles en masse and on scale for nefarious purposes. I don't know how we stop that. I can't see that there is a way to stop that.
So what happens in like a post-truth age when you can't trust anything really? Then what happens then? Like, what are the boundaries of society? What are the boundaries of social interaction? Like, do we all just retreat further and further into our own bubbles and only trust people we know personally, or that we've vetted personally ourselves, or information that we can verify personally ourselves? Because that seems like, I know a lot of people have done their own research, Will, and I don't think it's a good way to go.
I mean, I think that it depends how much of our life we want to live. So there's kind of two ways it could go, right? People could go that full Amish, not online, off the grid, that aspect of it. Or there's going to be people who lean into the whole idea of techno evangelism, and this is the next generation of who we are, and the only solution is to fully embrace AI and whatever else is next. Then you got the climate shit on top, right? Where things start to get, people start to get desperate and risky, and big companies are, running out of time to make money. And there's this perfect storm of all that other stuff as well, that if society starts to fray at the edges, what happens? It's already fraying at the edges. It's been the edges have always been frayed, but they seem to be more frayed than ever. And the central tenets that we seem to be able to rely on don't seem to be in practice what people rely on. We say we believe science, but no one goes and gets their vaccine again. So we know that climate change is coming, but we still, don't seem to be doing enough to to stop it.
So I guess if in a lot of ways, before the Enlightenment, that was when there was a lack of valid information. There was a lot of superstition. There was a lot of people just making shit up, right? Pre-Enlightenment. So we've kind of gone through the Enlightenment, and now we're going back into a period of pre-Enlightenment, because there is so much information now that it cancels each other out, right? So does that then give rise to another super religion? Or do the current religions that have been around for, centuries, do they soup up their game and say, hey guys, the world's a confusing, scary place right now, but as long as you believe in these 5 things, you'll be okay? Or is there a really opportunistic, super charismatic individual or group of individuals who are like, hey guys, yeah, the planet's on fire, there's fucking respiratory diseases rife, this is what you need to believe in to make sure you're okay?
The last few years has proved that you don't even need to be super intellectual or super charming to fill that void in people. You can be Jordan Peterson or Andrew Tate or Joe Rogan or wherever people are finding those, kind of cults, those modern day cults, those, here are, these principles by which we agree that being a man is like this and the world is like this and you should eat like this and you should train like this and you should experiment with drugs, whatever the thing is that they're selling. But that's what that is. That is people trying to find some
sit-ups. That's how you beat COVID. More sit-ups.
So could we is there an opportunity for somebody to truly come in and establish a world religion? The one that, I assume somebody has done this before, but I was talking about this with someone else the other day, which is we always reference the core principles in religions, right? But what if so a lot of the religions have do unto others. Some version of do unto others is pretty much in every single world religion, right? Could we not just make one good religion out of all the religions?
Yeah, right.
Just, do you know what I mean? Get them all.
Yeah.
Firstly, you start with the core principles.
Costco, in the same way that Costco got groceries from everywhere and just put it into one big warehouse. It's just all the religions under one tent.
Yeah, all but we have to streamline it. I'm not I don't want to.
You don't want cheap religion. You want
no. I want the best of all these ideas. So core things, if it's in every religion, okay, well, that's a gimme. We don't even have to debate that, right?
Murder's bad.
Murder's bad. That's in all of them. Okay, great. These are just like easy ones to lock in early on, right? Then we get to the point where some of the religions are going to drop off in different areas and they're going to be contradictions between two religions and stuff. Then what we do is we put that to the people, right? Like we go, which out of these two things, or this is this third compromise position that we've all come up with, which of those do you think we should lock in? And then you just come up with this like super religion that is the best of all the religions that have ever existed. And that's like the new, like worldwide religion. Like we've needed a religion. This is the best of everybody's religions. We've got rid of the shit that, like, you know, like the worst of every religion.
Don't covet your neighbour's donkey and shit like that. Like the outdated stuff. Don't eat fish don't eat meat on a Friday. All that's
we're happy for you to eat meat on a Friday. I mean, but there might be a compromise between the vegetarian religions and the, like, you know what? We're happy for you to eat meat on a Friday, but we're also having meat-free Mondays.
Yeah, okay.
That's part of the religion now, right? Like, so it's a negotiation between to come up with the best possible religion.
A snappy modern name like Happiness Plus or something like that, you know?
Yeah, or like like religion but spelt without any of the vowels, you know what I mean? RLGN.
I love it. I love it. RLGN Plus, but it needs like the plus.
RLGN Plus,
RLG.
It's the new religion.
Plus. That's great. And so do we structure it? Because, like, for instance, I have Starlink. Like, that's my Wi-Fi. And it's great because it saved all my NBN issues living in the regional area. Yeah. But the way they operate their business is there's no real central business agency. Like, if there's like tech problems or whatever, it's this very vague. You email a website, you might get like a kind of maintenance order and then someone will get back to you at some point. But it's not like you can call head office or whatever. So do we democratize RLGN Plus like that, where there's no – it's almost like anonymous. It's like, well, there's no one leader. There's no head of this RLGN Plus. It's just a fully democratized system of belief, apart from you and I run it.
Well, I think once it's decided on, because that's like the thing, we just lock it in. Here's the religion. Let's keep it simple too, right? Like, I don't think we need to overcomplicate this. I'm saying 20 rules max.
Okay.
20 rules for living your life, right?
And for
more than Jordan Peterson, more than like the 10 Commandments, but 20. That's enough, right? 20 guiding principles by which you have to live your life, agreed on by all the major religions.
What about, can we, like Bill and Ted did it with 3. Yeah. 3 rules. And that was easy to remember.
Oh, so you're saying go like even
that's
like
only 2 rules. Be excellent to each other and party on. Like, can we, because I think 20, like I can't even, I was raised Catholic, I can't remember the 12 commandments. So can we do 3?
I think there's only, there was 10, wasn't there?
Don't be
you added 2 more commandments? That's one of them.
Don't be a shit cunt.
Don't murder. Don't covet. Don't.
What's covet? Well, you want to include don't covet?
No, I was trying to go with the 10 Commandments. I couldn't remember.
I said there's 12 commandments. Is there only 10? That's how bad.
I believe so.
Hang on, let me look it up. What are the 10 commandments? 10 commandments.
Don't murder anyone. Love God. We're getting rid of that. Okay. We're getting rid of the love God above any other gods. That's not part of it anymore.
So thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Go on, get out of here. We don't need
done.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. So no false idols. Gone. That's fine. You can have whatever idols you want.
Yep.
Thou shalt not blaspheme. Take the Lord's name in vain. Gone. We don't care.
Gone.
We're not precious. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Gone. Do what you want.
Oh, unless. Is there some version of the Sabbath that is about actually care, like, you know, everyone in the world gets one day off? Like this is part of the, you know, because we're making the world a better place for everyone to live, and there's people who don't get a prescribed day off. You don't have to worship.
Oh, you know what?
For you.
What
but
about
it's instituted worldwide. Everyone gets at least 1 day off a week.
Yeah, well, even more than that. Let's go everyone's talking about the 4-day work week working in like Scandinavian countries. It's like you get 3 days off.
Yeah.
3 days off.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like mandate 3 days off. No, thou shalt not work more than 4 days a week.
You know what? The whole weekend is the Sabbath now.
Okay. Yeah. Love it.
Saturday, Sunday, our compromise is we're having both.
Yeah, we love it. Okay, so honour thy father and thy mother. Let's just make that non-heteronormative. So thou shalt honour thy parents, their caregivers.
No, you don't have to honour your parents. No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Respect
not
your
if
elders.
Not if we're trying to keep this. I don't think we need to legislate to people to respect their elders. This is going to be about us all loving each other equally. Like it shouldn't be
how about this though? Like be nice to old people if they deserve it. Because I think there is something about compassion in that lesson. It's
generally the vibe of this whole thing should be compassion. But I think once you get down to prescribing, I think we're encouraging people to be nice in general.
Honour everyone, then in brackets, unless they're a shit cunt.
Yeah, okay, good.
Thou shalt not kill.
Yeah, but we should probably. Well, I mean, I think people shouldn't kill each other. I think that's a pretty good place to start, right?
Yeah, I'm down with that. Like that's probably the worst thing you could do.
Yeah,
right?
Don't kill anyone. Don't commit a crime against people. Don't hurt other people physically.
Thou shalt not commit adultery seems very archaic.
Old-fashioned.
Who knows? I mean,
I don't know what your business is. I don't know what your life is.
And
I'm not here to judge you.
Thou shalt not steal. I mean,
that's real property owners bullshit, isn't it? Like, what's stealing?
Yeah.
No, I think we're probably going to get rid of that.
So the only thing
we're going to have some space. It's like, don't murder people.
So the only thing we're keeping is you get 2 days off work. Yeah. Don't be a shit cunt. And what's the other one?
That's how easy it is. The rest of it's all bullshit.
Yeah, okay. So that's all right. So we're just saying don't murder. Don't be don't be a shit cunt. And and get 2 days off.
2 days off.
RLGN plus. We're taking members now. I think this has got to. Would you be okay if it takes off and just say it does become the dominant and does a lot of good? It's like, so it does become Bill and Ted's unifying force.
Yeah. If
we're never credited for it. If it becomes like Richmondy, where it's like, oh, hang on, wait a minute. All of a sudden it just sort of like, okay. It doesn't, not only does it not get credited to us, it gets credited to like Elon Musk. Somehow he steals it. And would you, but it's done good. Would you be a big enough person be like,
he's like, haha, should have put the no stealing one in.
Could you live with that? Would you be a big enough person to go, well, you know what, for the greater good.
But the world's fine.
The world's fine.
Yes, of course. That's better. I don't want to have to run it.
But Elon Musk keeps bloody talking about it, and it's really
I don't care. I'm not hearing about it. Where am I hearing about that?
Yeah, it's a good point. All right. Okay. So everyone sign up to RLGN Plus. There'll be a link in the episode description below. Now, Will, we've had a surprising lack of correspondence over the last few weeks. I don't know what's happened, like whether people are scared to write in or they're just not engaged. But we do have an overflow in our Patreon. So I thought to finish the episode, we could just dip into our Patreon episode. This is from Geordie, Patreon. What did I say? Patreon subscribers. This
friendly Geordie.
Not friendly Geordie. I wish. Oh, imagine he slams us. Your show is shit. You, the project, bunch of private school wankers. I'm friendly Geordies. I make good points, but I'm so insufferable.
I've never seen any of his stuff, but that impression seems so accurate to me.
This non-friendly Geordie says, hey, guys, I've been a long-time listener and love the new stuff, but I've been slowly making my way backwards through some of your old episodes and came across a really interesting concept you guys had discussed on episode 131 titled, Sorry, Rant Over. Funny side note, Inception style, this is very episode could be where the fax machine seed was planted, as you guys did a whole thing on fax machines ranging from the similarities between the words fax and facsimile to the rumor of Phil Collins supposedly ending his marriage via fax, to even toying with incorporating fax machines into the show at some point. At one stage, Will even says, and she's time-coded this, so Mike the Third, if you want to grab this from episode 131 at 22 minutes 40, Will says...
that is actually a very TOFOP idea. We'll probably end up doing some show by fucking fax in the future.
Wow. We could have seen that coming. But I will bring your attention to time code 2245 to 2745. Perhaps Mike could even insert portions of this into the conversation of the episode. Yes. Brilliant. Geordie is now our associate producer. That is. I actually had an idea I wanted to discuss as maybe a bonus a bonus thing we can do off of our Patreon. What if we do commentaries on old episodes? We go back to episode 1 and we do a commentary on the first conversation we ever had on TOFOP.
I mean, I like that because there's some conversations we had back then that I think we need to do some justification of.
You guys discussed doing commentary on old episodes. What if we do commentaries on old episodes? Like we go back to episode 1 and do a commentary on the first conversation we had on TOFOP. Given reaction videos are really popular now, and you guys could go back to an old episode and review your discussion, which could be a fun exercise for you and the viewers to see how your opinions towards things have changed or not changed, or simply to see what you anticipated about the future. Furthermore, in true TOFOP meta, you had an on-air meeting even suggesting revisiting commentary and giving commentary on commentary. Commentary on commentary, and then in 5 years we can do a commentary on the commentary on the commentary. Your words. Anyway, just a thought, this could be a really funny place to start. Otherwise, the very next episode you guys get really stoned with Justin Hamilton and rank your favourite dairy products. So it's all one and the same. Thanks, Geordie. What do you think of that? I don't actually mind that. Like we would vet the episode because we did talk about some bad shit, and I think it would be more interesting to see how our opinions have changed over other subjects. But that could be agree. That could be a good bonus TOFOP episode. That's something we could put on Patreon.
Yes.
Considering the request has come from Patreon.
I like that. And if people also have ideas for, specific episodes or things, because you might be like Geordie who's listening to some older episodes and you come across a conversation that you think would be good for that. I mean, that would be great as well if you could point us in the direction of some things that you think might be interesting for us to comment on.
Well, here's the thing. We should probably let people know. So we're going to be shifting some things around with Patreon. So far what we've been doing is kind of smaller bonus episodes every fortnight that go for like 15 to 20 minutes. But what we want to do is to start giving whole bonus episodes in the Patreon. So I think that's what we're going to shift to do. So this is a good time to start making suggestions on things you'd like us to discuss. If you'd like us to go back to old episodes to talk about that, we can do that. But that is where we're going to move forward. So whole episodes of TOFOP are going to be going into the Patreon feed.
It does not mean that you'll be missing anything here. We just thought it would be a better bonus to give you a free, like a Patreon-only version of, something for the show. So it'll be like a regular episode of TOFOP, but we have the capacity to steam them around ideas like this or other things that you'd like us to have conversations about. If there is anything in particular, then that might be a really good place for that. So you can absolutely suggest some ideas for us.
And of course, joining Patreon is good because you can get ad-free episodes of everything on the TOFOP network. You've got James Fosduck's comic strips for everyone to relax and Quantum Cop and a bunch of other great content. We're also doing live shows in Melbourne and Sydney. Melbourne on November 11th and Sydney on November 25th. Melbourne show sold out in the first day. The tickets went on sale, so that was great. So we've put a second show on sale. That is selling quite quickly. Sydney is also selling quite quickly. So if you want tickets to that, you can get it in the episode description below or go to tofop.com. Will, you have solo shows coming up at the Comedy Store, don't you?
Yeah, what you're talking about, Will, this weekend is the final one of those. So if you want to come along to that, there is only a few tickets left. Although I might do some more later in the year, but it would probably be December or January before I get to do another one. And Newcastle, they might all be sold out by the time people hear this. But I'm doing a bunch of what you're talking about, Will, shows at the Comedy Club in Newcastle. But I think about half of that sold out on the first day. So that might be close to sold out, getting quick if it is not.
And for Two Guys, One Cup fans, our traditional post-grand final live show with the Junk Time Boys is happening the day after the grand final at the Morris House Basement. What's it called?
The Basement Comedy Club at Morris House.
At Morris House. So that is on sale. We'll put another link in the episode description, but always a fun time with some special guests. We've got to work out who's making the grand final first, and then we can tell you who's coming on the show. But that's TOFOP for this week. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson.
How long? Not long. Everyone relax.
Listener.